Mr. Whisper. I'm back with another video, and today we're going to talk about a little about ASMR and what ASMR is. Now, I've been approached a couple of times, and I was asked specifically. I was text messaged by my brother, and he said, "What is this whisper thing that you're doing on YouTube?" And I had to explain to him, where I started, and when I was in high school, I started out with, this was back in like 2010. I was in a psychology class, and we had this the section of self-hypnosis, and I started using self-hypnosis a lot, actually. So I would go on YouTube and I would type in guided self-hypnosis. So it was like guided hypnosis. It wouldn't have been self-hypnosis. And so I told my brother, I said, I got into this community and I found how to do it. And he said, "So what does the whispering do for that?" And I said, "Well, it creates this euphoria," and I will go into depths of what it is. So, without further ado, let's just jump right into it. In my own 2 cents, ASMR and this whole whisper community and this relaxation that everyone's trying to find is a form of meditation. And a meditation, in my mind, is the idea of getting your mind in the present without worrying about the past or the future, and just focusing on the right now. So a lot of times people will have problems falling asleep because they're worried about the day they just had, or they're worried about this, this job interview they have coming up later in the week, or they're worried about a test they're taking, or they're worried about this girl they're talking to, or they're worried about the girl that they were talking to, or something along those lines, and they're worried about all these things in their head. And what this ASMR does is it allows our brains and our minds and our mindsets to be set in the present and to focus on sleep or just relaxing and meditating and focusing on what's right now. A lot of the self-hypnosis that I would watch when I first started with all this meditation and stuff back in high school would basically be like titled body scans. They would have you close your eyes and lay down on a couch and really focus on your breathing, focus on the muscles of your body, and it would really get your attention to what's happening and what's happening right now. So that's my take on what ASMR is. So just in general, like all of us are just trying to fall asleep, or really focus on relaxation. And these euphorias and these triggers and these things that I'm going to talk about are things that can help us find that relaxation. So I tried to search the internet for articles or any kind of things that define what ASMR is. And there's a lot of blogs and there's a lot of things that people type that were not really, letting me know what ASMR was. So what I found was, and don't make fun of me, and was the Wikipedia page. I figured that since the Wikipedia pages are typed by anybody that can, someone who really, I read this whole article, and someone who really knew what they were talking about typed this up, and I generally, I don't find it to be a lie or anything, so you. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to further explain it. And hopefully I can get you guys some tingles and a little bit of explanation as to what ASMR actually is. So, I guess we'll just start off at the top here. Sorry about that. So ASMR is autonomous sensory meridian response. Is an experience characterized by a static-like or tingling sensation on the skin that typically begins on the scalp and moves down the back of the neck and upper spine. ASMR signifies the subjective experience of low-grade euphoria characterized by a combination of positive feelings and a distinct static-like tingling sensation on the skin. It is most commonly triggered by specific acoustic, visual, and digital media stimuli, and less commonly by attentional control. So what that paragraph is actually saying is that, and I try to put these analogies for you. When I was a really young kid, I would sit with my family in the living room, and we would watch TV, or we would watch the sports game, whether baseball, basketball, whatever, and I would just lay down on the couch next to my dad, and he would rub my back or just comfort me. And as he's doing that, it's getting later in the night, and he would do that until I fell asleep. And I would, when I think of ASMR, I think of those moments when he would be doing that, and the tingles that were happening. I just recall those tingles that were happening, the tingles that start in the back of the head and go down my neck and come into the front of my neck, and just makes me just so relaxed and just thinking about it. So when they say it signifies a subjective experience, they're saying that not everybody can experience it. Certain videos and certain triggers are different from person to person. So my favorite triggers really are the scratching of paper or tapping. I really love tapping, and I've been getting really into ramble videos. I just like to hear people ramble, just rambling about whatever, and just focusing on what they're saying really gets my mind into the present, and not focusing on what happened in the day before or what's going to happen in the day tomorrow. So it really gets my mindset right. So when I talked about triggers, there are a couple of different categories, and that's what this article brought up when it came to acoustic, visual, or digital stimuli. So when they talk about specific acoustic stimuli, and that's the sounds that you're going to be hearing, that's why I scratched the paper like I did. Certain sounds, tapping, female ASMR artists, I have my phone here, actually have a better chance of getting this done because they generally have the longer nails. I don't have nails, so. So the tapping can be a trigger. There's different triggers, different sounds. Like my previous videos, if you check out my channel, I have latex gloves that I play with that can trigger it. I have marbles on there that can trigger it. And I have different scratching videos that can trigger it. So that's different acoustic triggers that can help stimulate the euphoria. When we talk about the euphoria, we talk about the tingles and the static-like happenings that happen when you get those tingles. We talk about visual stimuli. Now, the artists, I'm not one of them, the artists that have the top of the line HD, perfect category of a camera, can really zoom in on things that are really close. So sometimes they'll zoom in on like a paragraph or something. Let's see if that wants to focus. So there it goes. And then sometimes they'll just the closeness of that paragraph can help. If you've ever talked about photography or anytime taking pictures, like the macro lens that you can use that zooms really close, if you took a video of that and then add the sounds to it, sometimes just finding all the little details and things can trigger. So that's the visual stimuli that people are talking about. So, to further go into the sensation that happens, and when it might be confusing that you say euphoria or the tingles that you get, you'll see a lot of videos that have trigger tingles in it. New people that are new to this community might be like, what does that even mean? How is that even possible? So the sensation, and this article talks about it in a really nice, I read this and I went, wow, that actually makes a lot of sense. So the subjective experience, sensation, and perceptual phenomenon, now widely identified by the term ASMR, Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response, is described by some of those susceptible to it as akin to mild electric current or the carbonated bubbles in a glass of champagne. So just think of that. As you watch a glass of champagne and the bubbles go up the side of it, it's almost like you're getting bubbles that go up the side of your skin. And it just releases these endorphins and these hormones that just allow the relaxation. I don't know if it's the melatonin or the serotonin or whatever it is, but that temptation, I'm trying to say tingle and sensation at the same time, that sensation triggers that, and it just allows for the most relaxation, and it's just absolutely phenomenal. I know females, I'm a big fan of it, but when someone rubs their fingers through my hair or scratches my head, it is absolutely phenomenal, and it triggers that, and I can fall asleep in 2 seconds. So there are different kinds of triggers that can happen, different kind of videos and triggers that can happen. Going deeper into that, such media may be especially made with a specific purpose of getting those tingles. All of mine are what they call intentional tingles, and then some videos can be unintentional. And there's a couple of examples that I have, and one example is that a while back I used to watch a laptop review user on YouTube. His name is Netbooked, and you can check him out. If you watch his videos, you'll notice that they're extremely boring. They're extremely slow-paced, but I would catch myself watching his videos just to fall asleep. All he does is he has a camera on his kitchen table, and he records himself reviewing these laptops, and just the way that his voice is projected and the way that he reviews these laptops is absolutely just, it pushes you into a trance to where you're just focusing on what he's doing, and it allows you to just forget about everything. And when I talk about subjective experience, like me, those videos are perfect, but some people's brains aren't wired to focus on one thing at a time, so they need different triggers at different times. So my mind can focus on that video, which it did, and it would be absolutely phenomenal. So that would be an unintentional. So if you were to ever type in unintentional ASMR, you'd find tons and tons of videos of people doing things that are just unintentionally. Like, I have a couple of them. I have 3 videos on my channel so far. I think that's it, of me cleaning my room and folding laundry and changing my sheets and cleaning off my desk. That can generally be unintentional. Just watching somebody do something that can cause these tingles. It brings up a point that I remember when I was a young kid. Another happening of this, I would go to catechism after school, and I was in church, and it was completely silent. I don't know, I can't remember why we were being completely silent, but my classmate that was sitting right next to me was going through the songbook, and he was flipping page by page. So he was doing that, and I was watching him. So I have a book here, and he was trying to find a song. He didn't know he was doing it, but I was just sitting there watching him. It was completely silent in the whole room, and that's all I had to do was just sit there. I can't remember why, but he was just doing this. His fingers on the pages. So he would do that, and it was just unintentional ASMR. At this point that I figured out what ASMR was, that was ASMR, and it was absolutely phenomenal. I loved it, and it just relaxed me. It got me to focus on what I was doing at that moment, instead of worrying about what happened at school, or instead of worrying about getting out of that place, because catechism was absolutely boring. But it was phenomenal. It was one of those best triggers that we could ever witness. So that's basically ASMR. It's just getting your mind in the present and focusing on what's happening now instead of worrying about what's around you. And then this article goes on talking about more triggers, and it talks about like the described in Buddhist texts. So it goes more into the whole idea of meditation and what the Buddhist texts talk about. So I don't really want to get into that. If I had to tell you or go over one more idea as to what ASMR is, and it's just going to reiterate and re-explain things in a different light. If you were to be, picture yourself laying in bed. Now, this is going to be a really abstract analogy, but just bear with me. It's just one of those things I've thought about, and I wanted to project that to you guys. So you're laying in bed, and your attention span is going all over the place. Just all over the place. Now your I'll think of a coloring book. Your attention span at that point is like a 2-year-old coloring in that book. Completely outside of the lines. Just not focused, not there's no care in the world about actually figuring out what's happening. What ASMR does, and what this meditation does, and what these things do, is it allows your attention span, which is the coloring, the crayons that you're using, to really focus on going between the lines. Just focusing, and you're not a 2-year-old anymore. I'm not calling you guys 2-year-olds. You're a mature adult now that is able to color within those lines, and it focuses. And the more you color within those lines, the easier you are to fall asleep. Think about that one. I know it's completely abstract, but that idea came into my head, and I was like, that makes a lot of sense to explain it to somebody that doesn't know what ASMR is. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. I have had this idea to do this video for a while. If you liked, give me a thumb up, head over to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.